All right, let's start. Let's do this. So, welcome everybody to the very first episode of Dr. Rogue, a roguelike in JavaScript. And in this series, we're going to be doing exactly what it says. We're going to make a roguelike game in JavaScript, obviously, and we're going to do it all from scratch. All right, so we're not going to use any frameworks, libraries, building tools. I feel like the JavaScript ecosystem is incredibly huge right now. A new framework comes out every day. It can be a little overwhelming, and so we're just not going to use any of it. We're going to use our text editor, our browser, and our mad coding skills. That's it. Which, as I say out loud, I realize that our coding skills might not be as mad as I want to think they are, but that's certainly my case. But that's why I'm doing this. I want to learn, I want to have fun, and hopefully you guys will have a lot of fun too, following along. I am super excited. I've wanted to do this for so long now, and I kept putting it off because I wanted it to be perfect. So I kept rewriting, I kept re-recording, I kept, just all things I wanted to add and change and so on. And I realized an okay start now is better than a perfect start never. So I want to start. Also, real quick, the 7-day roguelike challenge for 2020 is next week. And because we're doing this in JavaScript, I kind of wanted to have enough done beforehand that anybody following along would have a nice base platform to build their own game off of. Because JavaScript games, they're easy to share and a lot easier. If that was the goal, I should have started this weeks ago. So, and speaking of late starts, in August of 2019, last year, I posted a poll in the Roguelike subreddit, the Roguelike Dev subreddit, for if people wanted to see a game made from zero to completion, what theme would you want to go with? And we did a theme, people voted, but that was 6 months ago. So, this has been significantly slow in the making. Yeah, I want to do this. So, without further ado, let's start. So real quick, what exactly is a roguelike? And I feel if you're watching this video, you know exactly what a roguelike is, if anybody. It's certainly been a topic plugging up the discussion boards for the last few decades. But I think it's a conversation worth having, specifically for advertising purposes. And I don't mean, big bad advertising. I mean advertising as in getting the right game to the right player. All right? So if I said that we were making a Mario-like, meaning like Mario, you would know pretty much what I'm talking about. Okay, so it's a game where you're one character, you jump over pits, you jump on platforms, you jump on enemies. There's a lot of jumping and some power-ups involved. There can be a whole manner of deviations from that, for mechanics and content and whatnot, and there have been. But you know what the core concept of the game is. And if certain conventions are broken, you'd feel kind of cheated. So, same thing with the roguelike. A roguelike means like Rogue, which is an adventure game from 1980. It's older than I am. But it still has a lot of staying power. And the genre has seen a lot of resurgence in the past several years. What exactly is a roguelike? So I have my own answer to, if you've heard of the Berlin interpretation, it's an attempt at setting a standard for what a roguelike should include. And no, there's just more debate about that as well. So my own personal take on what a roguelike is these elements, which our game will have, by the way. One is Perma Death. So once your character dies, you die. You stay dead. There's no respawning. There's no going back to a loaded save point. There's no no extra lives. No continues. Once you're dead, that's it. You lose all your items, all your powers, all your energy, all your coins, all your gems. All progress you made in the last playthrough is gone. And now there are some games that deviate from this in certain ways, and that's fine. But basically, what I'm saying is that loss is punished, and loss is punished hard. And going back to the beginning, that leads to the next aspect, which is procedural world generation. And What that means is the game is randomly generated every playthrough. So that means maps, world locations, character locations, items, item effects. So you can't just memorize and then through trial and error gameplay learn where everything is or how everything works. I mean, you can learn how the system. You can learn how the 2 for 1. You can learn how the system works. So the buttons, the actions, and whatnot. But everything will be completely new, game-wise, for every playthrough. So each time is the first time. Makes it pretty good. Third one, this could be up for debate. I mean, your mileage could vary, and I'll probably get some flack for this. Roguelikes are turn-based. So that means you make your move, and then everything else in the game makes their move. So this can be, other creatures, it can be world effects, it can be subsystems, whatnot. And the reason for that is there's no quick time. What's the word I'm looking for? There's no quick time button mashing. You get to stop and savor all the little details. Sorry, I'm cutting out myself. With each playthrough being unique, you get to stop and savor the moment and take your time solving problems. Because that's the thing with roguelike gameplay, it's not Twitch gameplay. It's not you're not dodging. Rapidly dodging things that are thrown at you. You're taking your time. You're making big decisions because the decisions, like I said, are expensive. And so think of it almost like super chess. Did I say that already? I may have said that already. Think of it like super chess where you move, everything else moves. I wasn't sold until I played one, and then I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty good. So yeah, moving on. This is pretty self-explanatory. The gameplay focus is on exploration and traversal. So think like, the classic Final Fantasies, Legend of Zelda. You're exploring the locations, you're traversing rooms, hallways, corridors, outdoor worlds, and finding things. That's pretty self-explanatory. I don't need to belabor that one. Excuse me. I'm talking fast. And that's another reason why I'm doing this series entirely self-serving. I talk really, really fast, and it's getting me a problem. And I'm hoping that by, actually watching myself talk and talking while I code and getting a handle for how I, what I put others through on a regular basis for pretty much my entire life, I will slow down and learn how to enunciate. So, by the way, if anybody who knows me in real life is watching right now, I'm sorry. Hopefully I'll get better. All right. So moving on. Resource management is a key aspect of gameplay. So items you find, gems, coins, batteries, food rations, medikits. Some of these might be respawned throughout the game. Some games, everything's done at start. For some games, everything is done at startup, and then that's it. So be careful what you use, because you might not find one again. And how you better manage your resources will determine just how good of a run you have in the game. All right, and these last two are a little more holistic, using tactics and strategy to solve the problem. So it's not just dodge, jab, jump, grab stuff and whatever's. Use a lot of creative problem solving. Builds critical thinking skills, which leads into the last point: is complex interacting systems, which honestly is hard to describe concisely. Pretty much everything in the game affects everything else in the game. So if you have a creative solution, a good example. Let's say you have a blaster rifle that you built from scavenged parts throughout the game, and you set it on self-destruct to blow a hole in the wall. Great. And you had to do that because the key that you needed to get through the door was blocked off by a cave-in, which didn't happen last time you played. So it was totally random, but you set the gun to self-destruct, and that actually worked. So it's things like that. Everything you do, the world will react in some form. They're so fun to play. I really hope you try one in addition to following along. Okay, so next point, why? Okay, why make something that's turn-based, that's 40 years old, and it's so complex? Well, a couple reasons. Excuse me, fighting a cold right now. Roguelike games are fun to play. If you haven't played one, You should. I've said that already, and I'll say it probably more before the video is over. But roguelike games are even more fun to make. All right, so if you're studying computer programming or game design, like roguelikes, yeah, there's some constraints as to what they are, but you can include as many kitchen sinks as you want to. There are so many deviations and, wow, there's so many, different versions, different takes on the genre, different locations, different settings, different mechanics. If you want to try a new algorithm or a new gameplay concept or pretty much just anything, roguelikes are like, it's kind of the ultimate sandbox for game development. Pretty much anything flies, and yeah. As long as like most roguelikes are never truly complete, there is some, like NetHack has been in development since I think it was like the late 80s. So yeah, that game is older than people playing it, and it's still being worked on. So yeah, fun to play, more fun to make. And the final one, and I mentioned this earlier, JavaScript games are easy to share. And by easy, I mean it satisfies that dream of write once, run anywhere. All right, so and anybody who plays it, there's no downloads. They could download it, but there's no required downloads. There's no installers. There's no building. Like, you share a link, they click the link, and they're playing your game. And it runs on any system, that's relatively modern. So, Mac, OS X, Windows, Linux. Like, some phones might take issue with it, but really, any business and gaming machine will be able to handle your game, and it's just plug and play. It just works. So, any bugs that happen will be in your code, not in the lack of libraries or configurations. So, yes, JavaScript has kind of a bad rap because there's a lot of things that happen that are messy, but we're going to follow some good practices. So, so final point, why from scratch? I mean, there's so many frameworks out there to make life easier. Why would we, basically rebuild the wheel from the ground up? Because it's good for code learning. Like, I don't want anything to be abstracted behind. We're already getting a lot for free with the browser and the run anywhere JavaScript language, but a lot of the roguelike frameworks. So there's Rot.js or libtcod or Bare Lib Terminal. They hide a lot of the functionality away from us to make life easier, which is great, and they do it well. But what if you want to learn how everything works beneath the hood? What if you want to learn how the images are loaded? You want to learn how to write your own field of view functions or map generation functions, or how does the random generator do its thing? So yes, it's going to take a lot longer. It's going to take a lot longer, but we're going to know how everything works at the code level. So when we want to make our own game, which we're doing now, when we make your own side game, you'll know what to change, how to change it, how to embellish it, and yeah, more knowledge is more power, and more power is more better. So, more or less. All right, so real quick, and I don't want to blabber too much. I won't get coding, but there's already a ton of great tutorials out there for pretty much, I think, most languages actually, or most of the big languages anyways. And I have learned a ton from these, so I'll be posting links to those in the description for each of my videos. They're good for not just learning, roguelike programming, but programming in general. I've been exposed to things in those tutorials that I would never have encountered on my own spelunking. I don't use all of them, but it's good to know them and to know why they're used. So I'm kind of hoping to do the same thing here. What do I want to include beyond a simple tutorial? We're making a complete game. All right, so I don't want to just make a simple demo or prototype, like a vanilla based off roguelike. I want to make an actual complete niche, high quality, very polished game. Yes, like I said, this will take a while. But there's a theme, we have a full set of design goals. I want to focus on mechanics and content and aesthetics. So yeah, we're going to make a full game from start to finish, which leads to point number 2 is I want to focus on the design as well as the programming. Okay, so yes, I'm going to show the algorithms, how it's built, and why we're making these code decisions. But I also want to cover a lot of the more like game-specific aspects. So these are interface design, the gameplay system mechanics, the stats balancing, the characters, the effects, the triggered events, environment, sounds, visuals, like all the aspects of actual game design that go into making a game. I want to show all those. I want to show the design process as things come about naturally. So yeah, this is gonna be a messy series. This is gonna be a very messy series. It's gonna be a lot of backtracking, a lot of bug fixing, a lot of polish after the fact. I mean, you can almost think of this as a glorified whiteboard test. So now, if that's not your thing, if you just want to see, you want the code, you don't want to sift through the debugging, and you just want the working parts, no dead ends, no trial and errors. I'm going to be doing blog write-ups for these videos. I can't promise when that will be, but they'll have like, the working parts of the code, the final versions, and they'll have the annotations and all that. I'll get as fast as I can. I'm working full time and I'm a full-time student right now, but hopefully get those up and running pretty quickly. That said, if you do want to see, an entire game made from scratch, beginning to end, with all the trials, errors, frustrations, bug fixes, and descents into madness that come with making a game, glad to have you. Welcome aboard. And yeah, I'm excited. I've wanted this for so long. I said that before. All right. Number 3, and I said this before as well. Completely made in JavaScript. I pretty much elaborated all this at length already. Yeah. Deviation is encouraged. So make your own game as you please, your own way. If I make a code decision that you don't like, want to do something differently, or even like content, like I said, I have a theme chosen. Maybe you want to do a different theme. Maybe you want to do, your own characters, your own story, your own locations. Go nuts. Like, that's actually, if you make your own game, maybe post a link in the description, share it on the Roguelike dev subreddit, on Rogue Basin. I mean, yeah, there's new games coming out all the time. Make your own game the way you want to make it. This is just, this is a follow along with different steps for those who want to see it happen. So, yeah, code, content, characters, make the game that you want to make. Don't gotta follow me verbatim. And then finally, number 5, I want to demonstrate as many math and programming concepts as I can. One of my prior jobs was working as a tutor at the local college for math and computer science. And one of the ways that I helped the students to better grasp concepts was using, spaceship analogies, spaceships, airships, and game design, or from games that they were familiar with. And it helped it to stick a lot better. So I'm kind of doing that, but writ large for an entire game. So that's it. That's my spiel. So 7 days away. Yep, it is. All right, so what's our theme? I keep saying I have a theme. The theme that won the vote by far, and I'm happy it did, espionage action thriller, which, as far as I know, has not been done for a roguelike before. I know we've done, like, the traditional medieval fantasy stasis, so, Dungeons and Dragons type, sorcerers, wizards, and elves and everything, which is great. I mean, cliches are cliches for a reason, and most of them work. So, and there's been like cyberpunks, and there's been noirs, and there's been in space. I've yet to see a spy, espionage thriller roguelike. That said, if you think you're being original, it means you're probably not paying very close attention. So, I read that in one of my game design books, Level Up by Scott Rogers, and I love it. I will post a link in the description as well. Not affiliated, just I read it a lot. Yeah, so espionage action thriller. Just brainstorming all the things we can include. Network of allies, high-powered henchmen, mad scientists, femme fatales, rogue dictators, spy gadgets. We're going to have so many gadgets. Like, one of the big questions in the forums was, so will there be gadgets? Yes. Yes, we will. Underground layers, submarines, volcano islands, mountain fortresses, special ops double agents, and they may or may not defect depending on the generation at startup. Vehicle chases, cars, boats, yachts, airships, trains, files to retrieve, heists to foil, NPCs to rescue, and world-destroying MacGuffins. Of course there are. How can that not be exciting? I'm excited, and I want to get started, so without further fuss, let's do it.